Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet sent Mu'adh to Yemen and said, "Invite the people to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and I am Allah's messenger, and if they obey you to do so, then teach them that Allah has enjoined on them 5 prayers in every day and night, in 24 hours, and if they obey you to do so, then teach them that Allah has made it obligatory for them to pay the zakat from their property, and it is to be taken from the wealthy among them and given to the poor." Sahih al-Bukhari 1395. Reference 24. Hadith 1. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. Narrated Abu Ayyub. A man said to the Prophet, "Tell me of such a deed as will make me enter paradise." The people said, "What is the matter with him? What is the matter with him?" The Prophet said, "He has something to ask. What he needs greatly." The Prophet said, "In order to enter paradise, you should worship Allah and do not ascribe any partners to Him, offer prayer perfectly, pay the zakat and keep good relations with your kith and kin." See Hadith number 12, Volume 8. Sahih al-Bukhari 1396. Reference 24. Hadith 2. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. Narrated Abu Hurairah. A Bedouin came to the Prophet and said, "Tell me of such a deed as will make me enter paradise, if I do it." The Prophet, P.B. U.H., said, "Worship Allah, and worship none along with Him. Offer the 5 prescribed compulsory prayers perfectly, pay the compulsory zakat, and fast the month of Ramadan." The Bedouin said, "By Him, in whose hands my life is, I will not do more than this." When he, the Bedouin, left, the Prophet said, "Whoever likes to see a man of paradise, then he may look at this man." Narrated Abu Zur'a. From the Prophet the same as above. Sahih al-Bukhari 1397. Reference 24. Hadith 3. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. Narrated Ibn Abbas. A delegation of the tribe of Abdul Qais came to the Prophet and said, "O Allah's Messenger, we are from the tribe of Rabi'a, and the infidels of the tribe of Mudar stands between us and you, so we cannot come to you except during the sacred months. Please order us to do something, religious deeds, which we may carry out, and also invite to it our people whom we have left behind." The Prophet said, "I order you to do 4 things and forbid you 4 others. I order you to have faith in Allah, and confess that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah." And the Prophet gestured with his hand like this, that is 1 knot, and to offer prayers perfectly, and to pay the zakat, and to pay 1/5 of the booty in Allah's cause. "And I forbid you to use dubba, hantam, nakir and muzafat. All these are the names of utensils used for preparing alcoholic drinks." Sahih al-Bukhari 1398. Reference 24. Hadith 4. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. Narrated Abu Hurairah. When Allah's Messenger died and Abu Bakr became the caliph, some Arabs renegade, reverted to disbelief. Abu Bakr decided to declare war against them. Umar said to Abu Bakr, "How can you fight with these people, although Allah's Messenger said, 'I have been ordered, by Allah, to fight the people till they say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and whoever said it, then he will save his life and property from me except on trespassing the law, rights and conditions, for which he will be punished justly, and his accounts will be with Allah.' Abu Bakr said, 'By Allah, I will fight those who differentiate between the prayer and the zakat, as zakat is the compulsory right to be taken from the property, according to Allah's orders, by Allah. If they refuse to pay me even a shikid which they used to pay at the time of Allah's Messenger, I would fight with them for withholding it." Then Umar said, "By Allah, it was nothing." But Allah opened Abu Bakr's chest towards the Sahih al-Bukhari 1399. 1400 Reference 24 Hadith 5. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat decision, to fight. And I came to know that his decision was right. Sahih al-Bukhari 1399, 1400 Reference 24 Hadith 5. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Jarir bin Abdullah. I gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet for offering prayer perfectly, giving Zakat, and giving good advice to every Muslim. Sahih al-Bukhari 1401 Reference 24 Hadith 6. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, on the day of resurrection, camels will come to their owner in the best state of health they have ever had, in the world, and if he had not paid their zakat, in the world, then they would tread him with their feet. And similarly, sheep will come to their owner in the best state of health they have ever had in the world, and if he had not paid their zakat, then they would tread him with their hooves and would butt him with their horns. The Prophet added, one of their rights is that they should be milked while water is kept in front of them. The Prophet added, I do not want any one of you to come to me on the day of resurrection, carrying over his neck a sheep that will be bleeding. Such a person will, then, say, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, please intercede for me. I will say to him, I can't help you, for I conveyed Allah's message to you. Similarly, I do not want any one of you to come to me carrying over his neck a camel that will be grunting. Sahih al-Bukhari 1402 Reference 24 Hadith 7. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. Such a person, then, will say, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, please intercede for me. I will say to him, I can't help you, for I conveyed Allah's message to you. Sahih al-Bukhari 1402 Reference 24 Hadith 7. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger said, whoever is made wealthy by Allah and does not pay the zakat of his wealth, then on the day of resurrection his wealth will be made like a bald-headed poisonous male snake with 2 black spots over the eyes. The snake will encircle his neck and bite his cheeks and say, I am your wealth, I am your treasure. Then the Prophet recited the holy verses, let not those who withhold, to the end of the verse. 3.180. Sahih al-Bukhari 1403 Reference 24 Hadith 8. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Khalid bin Aslam. We went out with Abdullah bin Umar, and a Bedouin said to Abdullah, tell me about Allah's saying, and those who hoard up gold and silver, al-kans, money, gold, silver, etc., the zakat of which has not been paid, and spend it not in the way of Allah. Version 934. Ibn Umar said, whoever hoarded them and did not pay the zakat thereof, then woe to him. But these holy verses were revealed before the verses of zakat. So when the verses of zakat were revealed, Allah made zakat a purifier of the property. Sahih al-Bukhari 1404 Reference 24 Hadith 9. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id. Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., said, no zakat is due on property mounting to less than 5 uqiyas of silver, and no zakat is due on less than 5 camels, and there is no zakat on less than 5 wasks. A wasks equals 60 sas, and 1 saw equals 3 kg ms. Sahih al-Bukhari 1405 Reference 24 Hadith 10. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Zayd bin Wahab. I passed by a place called Ar-Rabada, and by chance I met Abu Dar and asked him, what has brought you to this place? He said, I was in Sham and differed with Muawiyah on the meaning of the following verses of the Quran. They who hoard up gold and silver and spend them not in the way of Allah. 9.34. Muawiyah said, this verse is revealed regarding the people of the scriptures. I said, it was revealed regarding us and also the people of the scriptures. So we had a quarrel and Muawiyah sent a complaint against me to Uthman. Uthman wrote to me to come to Medina, and I came to Medina. Many people came to me as if they had not seen me before. So I told this to Uthman, who said to me, you may depart and live nearby if you wish. That was the reason for my being here, for even if an Ethiopian had been nominated as my ruler, I would have obeyed him. Sahih al-Bukhari 1406 reference 24 Hadith 11. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Al-Anif bin Qais. While I was sitting with some people from Quraysh, a man with very rough hair, clothes, and appearance came and stood in front of us, greeted us and said, inform those who hoard wealth, that a stone will be heated in the hellfire and will be put on the nipples of their breasts till it comes out from the bones of their shoulders, and then put on the bones of their shoulders till it comes through the nipples of their breasts. The stone will be moving and hitting. After saying that, the person retreated and sat by the side of the pillar. I followed him and sat beside him, and I did not know who he was. I said to him, I think the people disliked what you had said. He said, these people do not understand anything, although my friend told me. I asked, who is your friend? He said, the Prophet said to me, O Abu Dar, do you see the mountain of Uhud? And on that I, Abu Dar, started looking towards the sun to judge how much remained of the day, as I thought that Allah's Sahih al-Bukhari 1407, 1408 reference 24 Hadith 12. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat messenger wanted to send me to do something for him, and I said, yes. He said, I do not love to have gold equal to the mountain of Uhud unless I spend it all in Allah's cause, except 3 dinars, pounds. These people do not understand and collect worldly wealth. No, by Allah, neither I ask them for worldly benefits nor am I in need of their religious advice till I meet Allah, the Honorable, the Majestic. Sahih al-Bukhari 1407, 1408 reference 24 Hadith 12. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Mas'ud. I heard the Prophet saying, there is no envy except in 2. A person whom Allah has given wealth and he spends it in the right way, and a person whom Allah has given wisdom, that is religious knowledge, and he gives his decisions accordingly and teaches it to the others. Sahih al-Bukhari 1409 reference 24 Hadith 13. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger said, if one give in charity what equals 1 date fruit from the honestly earned money and Allah accepts only the honestly earned money, Allah takes it in his right hand, and then enlarges its reward for that person who has given it, as any one of you brings up his baby horse, so much that it becomes as big as a mountain. Sahih al-Bukhari 1410 reference 24 Hadith 14. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Haritha bin Wahab. I heard the Prophet saying, O people, give in charity, as a time will come upon you when a person will wander about with his object of charity and will not find anybody to accept it, and one, who will be requested to take it, will say, if you had brought it yesterday, would have taken it, but today I am not in need of it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1411 reference 24 Hadith 15. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, the hour, day of judgment, will not be established till your wealth increases so much so that one will be worried, for no one will accept his zakat and the person to whom he will give it will reply, I am not in need of it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1412 reference 24 Hadith 16. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Adi bin Hatim. While I was sitting with Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., two persons came to him. One of them complained about his poverty and the other complained about the prevalence of robberies. Allah's Messenger said, as regards stealing and robberies, there will shortly come a time when a caravan will go to Mecca, from Medina, without any guard. And regarding poverty, the hour, day of judgment, will not be established till one of you wanders about with his object of charity and will not find anybody to accept it, and, no doubt, each one of you will stand in front of Allah and there will be neither a curtain nor an interpreter between him and Allah will ask him, did not I give you wealth? He will reply in the affirmative. Allah will further ask, didn't send a messenger to you? And again that person will reply in the affirmative. Then he will look to his right and he will see nothing but hell fire, and then he will look to his left and will see nothing but hell fire. And Sahih al-Bukhari 1413 reference 24 Hadith 17. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat. So, each one of you should save himself from the fire even by giving half of a date fruit, in charity. And if you do not find a whole date fruit, then, you can do it through saying, a good pleasant word, to your brethren. See Hadith number 793 Volume 4. Sahih al-Bukhari 1413 reference 24 Hadith 17. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Musa. Thy Prophet, P.B. U.H., said, a time will come upon the people when a person will wander about with gold as Zakat and will not find anybody to accept it, and one man will be seen followed by 40 women to be their guardian because of scarcity of men and great number of women. Sahih al-Bukhari 1414 reference 24 Hadith 18. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Mas'ud. When the verses of charity were revealed, we used to work as porters. A man came and distributed objects of charity in abundance. And they, the people, said, he is showing off. And another man came and gave a small measure of food grains. They said, Allah is not in need of this small amount of charity. And then the divine inspiration came. Those who criticize such are the believers who give in charity voluntarily and those who could not find to give in charity except what is available to them. 9.79. Sahih al-Bukhari 1415 reference 24 Hadith 19. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Mas'ud al-Ansari. Whenever Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H. ordered us to give in charity, we used to go to the market and work as porters and get a special measure of grain, and then give it in charity. Those were the days of poverty, and today some of us have 100,000. Sahih al-Bukhari 1416 reference 24 Hadith 20. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Adi bin Hatim heard the Prophet saying, save yourself from hellfire even by giving half a date fruit in charity. Sahih al-Bukhari 1417 reference 24 Hadith 21. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Aisha. A lady along with her 2 daughters came to me asking for some alms. But she found nothing with me except 1 date which I gave to her, and she divided it between her 2 daughters, and did not eat anything herself, and then she got up and went away. Then the Prophet came in and I informed him about this story. He said, whoever is put to trial by these daughters and he treats them generously, with benevolence, then these daughters will act as a shield for him from hellfire. See Hadith number 24, Volume 8. Sahih al-Bukhari 1418 reference 24 Hadith 22. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. A man came to the Prophet and asked, O Allah's Messenger, which charity is the most superior in reward? He replied, the charity which you practice while you are healthy, niggardly and afraid of poverty and wish to become wealthy. Do not delay it to the time of approaching death and then say, give so much to such, and so much to such and such. And it has already belonged to such and such, as it is too late. Sahih al-Bukhari 1419 reference 24 Hadith 23. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Aisha. Some of the wives of the Prophet asked him, who amongst us will be the first to follow you, that is, die after you? He said, whoever has the longest hand. So they started measuring their hands with a stick, and Sauda's hand turned out to be the longest. When Zainab bint Jahsh died first of all in the caliphate of Umar, we came to know that the long hand was a symbol of practicing charity, so she was the first to follow the Prophet, and she used to love to practice charity. Sauda died later in the caliphate of Muawiyah. Sahih al-Bukhari 1420 reference 24 Hadith 24. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H. said, a man said that he would give something in charity. He went out with his object of charity and unknowingly gave it to a thief. Next morning the people said that he had given his object of charity to a thief. On hearing that, he said, O Allah, all the praises are for you. I will give alms again. And so he again went out with his alms and, unknowingly, gave it to an adulteress. Next morning the people said that he had given his alms to an adulteress last night. The man said, O Allah, all the praises are for you. I gave my alms to an adulteress. I will give alms again. So he went out with his alms again and, unknowingly, gave it to a rich person. The people, next morning, said that he had given his alms to a wealthy person. He said, O Allah, all the praises are for you. I had given alms to a thief, to an adulteress, and to a wealthy man. Then someone came and said to him, the alms which you gave to the thief might make him abstain. Sahih al-Bukhari 1421 reference 24 Hadith 25. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat from stealing, and that given to the adulteress might make her abstain from illegal sexual intercourse, adultery, and that given to the wealthy man might make him take a lesson from it and spend his wealth which Allah has given him, in Allah's cause. Sahih al-Bukhari 1421 reference 24 Hadith 25. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Man bin Yazid. My grandfather, my father and I gave the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger. The Prophet got me engaged and then got me married. One day I went to the Prophet with a complaint. My father Yazid had taken some gold coins for charity and kept them with a man in the mosque, to give them to the poor. But I went and took them and brought them to him, my father. My father said, by Allah, I did not intend to give them to you. I took the case to Allah's Messenger. On that Allah's Messenger said, O Yazid, you will be rewarded for what you intended. O man, whatever you have taken is yours. Sahih al-Bukhari 1422 reference 24 Hadith 26. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet, P.B. U.H. said, 7 people will be shaded by Allah under his shade on the day when there will be no shade except his. They are 1. A just ruler. 2. A young man who has been brought up in the worship of Allah, that is worship Allah alone, sincerely from his childhood. 3. A man whose heart is attached to the mosque, who offers the 5 compulsory congregational prayers in the mosque. 4. 2 persons who love each other only for Allah's sake and they meet in part in Allah's cause only. 5. A man who refuses the call of a charming woman of noble birth for an illegal sexual intercourse with her and says, I am afraid of Allah. 6. A person who practices charity so secretly that his left hand does not know what his right hand has given. That is, nobody knows how much he has given in charity. 7. A person who remembers Allah in seclusion and his eyes get flooded with tears. Sahih al-Bukhari 1423 reference 24 Hadith 27. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Haritha bin Wahab al-Khuzai. I heard the Prophet, p.b. U.H., saying, O people, give in charity, for Allah's cause, because a time will come when a person will carry his object of charity from place to place, and he will not find any person to take it, and any person whom he shall request to take it, I will reply, if you had brought it yesterday I would have taken it, but today I am not in need of it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1424 reference 24 Hadith 28. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Aisha. Allah's Messenger said, when a woman gives in charity some of the foodstuff, which she has in her house, without spoiling it, she will receive the reward for what she has spent, and her husband will receive the reward because of his earning, and the storekeeper will also have a reward similar to it. The reward of one will not decrease the reward of the others. Sahih al-Bukhari 1425 reference 24 Hadith 29. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet, p.b. U.H., said, the best charity is that which is practiced by a wealthy person. And start giving first to your dependents. Sahih al-Bukhari 1426 reference 24 Hadith 30. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Hakim bin Hizam. The Prophet said, the upper hand is better than the lower hand. That is, he who gives in charity is better than him who takes it. One should start giving first to his dependents. And the best object of charity is that which is given by a wealthy person, from the money which is left after his expenses. And whoever abstains from asking others for some financial help, Allah will give him and save him from asking others. Allah will make him self-sufficient. Sahih al-Bukhari 1427, 1428 reference 24 Hadith 31. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Umar. I heard Allah's Messenger, p.b. U.H., while he was on the pulpit speaking about charity, to abstain from asking others for some financial help and about begging others, saying, the upper hand is better than the lower hand. The upper hand is that of the giver and the lower hand is that of the beggar. Sahih al-Bukhari 1429 reference 24 Hadith 32. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Uqba bin al-Harith. Once the Prophet offered the Asr prayer and then hurriedly went to his house and returned immediately. I, or somebody else, asked him, as to what was the matter, and he said, I left at home a piece of gold which was from the charity and I disliked to let it remain a night in my house, so I got it distributed. Sahih al-Bukhari 1430 reference 24 Hadith 33. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet went out for the Eid prayer on the Eid day and offered a 2 rakat prayer. And he neither offered a prayer before it or after it. Then he went towards the women along with Bilal. He preached them and ordered them to give in charity. And some, amongst the women, started giving their forearm bangles and earrings. Sahih al-Bukhari 1431 reference 24 Hadith 34. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Burda bin Abu Musa that his father said, whenever a beggar came to Allah's messenger or he was asked for something, he used to say, to his companions, help and recommend him and you will receive the reward for it, and Allah will bring about what he will through his prophet's tongue. Sahih al-Bukhari 1432 reference 24 Hadith 35. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Asma. The Prophet said to me, do not withhold your money, for if you did so, Allah would withhold his blessings from you. Narrated Abda. The Prophet said, do not withhold your money by counting it, that is hoarding it, for if you did so, Allah would also withhold his blessings from you. Sahih al-Bukhari 1433 reference 24 Hadith 36. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Asma bint Abu Bakr that she had gone to the Prophet and he said, do not shut your money bag, otherwise Allah too will withhold his blessings from you. Spend, in Allah's cause, as much as you can afford. Sahih al-Bukhari 1434 reference 24 Hadith 37. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Wail. Hudhayfa said, Umar said, who amongst you remembers the statement of Allah's Messenger, P. B. U. H. about afflictions? I said, I know it as the Prophet had said it. Umar said, no doubt, you are bold. How did he say it? I said, amongst afflictions, wrong deeds, concerning his wife, children and neighbors are expiated by his prayers, charity, and enjoining good. The sub-narrator Sulayman added that he said, the prayer, charity, enjoining good and forbidding evil. Umar said, I did not mean that, but I ask about that affliction which will spread like the waves of the sea. I said, O chief of the believers, you need not be afraid of it as there is a closed door between you and it. He asked, will the door be broken or opened? I replied, no, it will be broken. He said, then, if it is broken, it will never be closed again? I replied, yes. Then we were afraid to ask what that door was, so we asked Masruq to inquire, and he asked Hudhayfa regarding it. Hudhayfa said, the door Sahih al-Bukhari 1435 reference 24 Hadith 38. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat was Umar. We further asked Hudhayfa whether Umar knew what that door meant. Hudhayfa replied in the affirmative and added, he knew it as one knows that there will be a night before the tomorrow morning. Sahih al-Bukhari 1435 reference 24 Hadith 38. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Hakim bin Hizam. I said to Allah's Messenger, before embracing Islam I used to do good deeds like giving in charity, slave manumitting, and the keeping of good relations with kith and kin. Shall I be rewarded for those deeds? The Prophet replied, you became Muslim with all those good deeds, without losing their reward. Sahih al-Bukhari 1436 reference 24 Hadith 39. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Aisha. Allah's Messenger said, when a woman gives in charity from her husband's meals without wasting the property of her husband, she will get a reward for it, and her husband too will get a reward for what he earned and the storekeeper will have the reward likewise. Sahih al-Bukhari 1437 reference 24 Hadith 40. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Musa. The Prophet said, an honest Muslim storekeeper who carries out the orders of his master and pays fully what he has been ordered to give with a good heart and pays to that person to whom he was ordered to pay, is regarded as one of the two charitable persons. Sahih al-Bukhari 1438 reference 24 Hadith 41. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Aisha. The Prophet said, if a woman gives in charity from her husband's house. See next Hadith. Sahih al-Bukhari 1439 reference 24 Hadith 42. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrate Aisha. The Prophet said, if a woman gives in charity from her husband's house. The Prophet, P.B. U.H. also said, if a lady gives meals, in charity, from her husband's house without spoiling her husband's property, she will get a reward and her husband will also get a reward likewise. The husband will get a reward because of his earnings and the woman because of her spending. Sahih al-Bukhari 1440 reference 24 Hadith 43. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Aisha. The Prophet said, when a woman gives in charity from her house meals in Allah's cause without spoiling her husband's property, she will get a reward for it, and her husband will also get the reward for his earnings and the storekeeper will get a reward likewise. Sahih al-Bukhari 1441 reference 24 Hadith 44. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, every day two angels come down from heaven and one of them says, O Allah, compensate every person who spends in your cause, and the other, angel, says, O Allah, destroy every miser. Sahih al-Bukhari 1442 reference 24 Hadith 45. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, the example of a miser and an almsgiver is like the example of two persons wearing iron cloaks. Allah's Messenger also said, the example of an almsgiver and a miser is like the example of two persons who have two iron cloaks on them from their breasts to their collarbones. And when the almsgiver wants to give in charity, the cloak becomes capacious till it covers his whole body to such an extent that it hides his fingertips and covers his footprints, obliterates his tracks. 1. And when the miser wants to spend, the iron cloak sticks and every ring gets stuck to its place and he tries to widen it, but it did not become wide. Sahih al-Bukhari 1443 reference 24 Hadith 46. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat see previous Hadith. Sahih al-Bukhari 1444 reference 24 Hadith 47. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Burda. From his father from his grandfather that the Prophet said, every Muslim has to give in charity. The people asked, O Allah's Prophet, if someone has nothing to give, what will he do? He said, he should work with his hands and benefit himself and also give in charity, from what he earns. The people further asked, if he cannot find even that? He replied, he should help the needy who appeal for help. Then the people asked, if he cannot do that? He replied, then he should perform good deeds and keep away from evil deeds and this will be regarded as charitable deeds. Sahih al-Bukhari 1445 reference 24 Hadith 48. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Atiyah. A sheep was sent to me, Nasiba al-Ansariya, in charity, and I sent some of it to Aisha. The Prophet asked Aisha for something to eat. Aisha replied that there was nothing except what Nasiba al-Ansariya had sent of that sheep. The Prophet said to her, "Bring it as it has reached its place." Sahih al-Bukhari 1446 reference 24 Hadith 49. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Allah's Messenger said, "There is no zakat on less than 5 camels, and also there is no zakat on less than 5 awaq of silver." 5 awaq equals 22 francs riyals of Yemen or 200 dirhams. And there is no zakat on less than 5 awsaq, a special measure of food grains, and 1 wasq equals 60 sas. For gold 20 dinars, that is equal to 12 guinea English. No zakat for less than 12 guinea English of gold, or for silver less than 22 francs riyals of Yemen. Narrated Abi Sa'id al-Khudri. I heard the Prophet saying, as above. Sahih al-Bukhari 1447 reference 24 Hadith 50. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Anas. Abu Bakr wrote to me what Allah had instructed his apostle, P.B. U.H. to do regarding the one who had to pay 1 bint Makad. That is 1-year-old she-camel, as Zakat. And he did not have it but had got bint Laban, 2-year-old she-camel. He wrote that it could be accepted from him as Zakat, and the collector of Zakat would return him 20 dirhams or 2 sheep. And if the Zakat payer had not a bint Makad, but he had Ibn Laban, a 2-year-old he-camel, then it could be accepted as his Zakat, but he would not be paid anything. Sahih al-Bukhari 1448 reference 24 Hadith 51. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Abbas. I am a witness that Allah's Messenger offered the ID prayer before delivering the sermon, and then he thought that the women would not be able to hear him, because of the distance. So he went to them along with Bilal, who was spreading his garment. The Prophet advised and ordered them to give in charity. So the women started giving their ornaments in charity. The sub-narrator Ayub pointed towards his ears and neck, meaning that they gave ornaments from those places such as earrings and necklaces. Sahih al-Bukhari 1449 reference 24 Hadith 52. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Anas. Abu Bakr wrote to me what was made compulsory by Allah's Messenger, and that was, regarding the payments of Zakat. Neither the property of different people may be taken together, nor the joint property may be split for fear of paying more, or receiving less, Zakat. Sahih al-Bukhari 1450 reference 24 Hadith 53. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Anas. Abu Bakr wrote to me what Allah's Messenger has made compulsory, regarding Zakat, and this was mentioned in it. If a property is equally owned by 2 partners, they should pay the combined Zakat, and it will be considered that both of them have paid their Zakat equally. Sahih al-Bukhari 1451 reference 24 Hadith 54. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. A Bedouin asked Allah's Messenger about the emigration. The Prophet, P.B. U.H. said, "May Allah have mercy on you. The matter of emigration is very hard. Have you got camels? Do you pay their Zakat?" The Bedouin said, "Yes, I have camels and I pay their Zakat." The Prophet said, "Work beyond the seas and Allah will not decrease, waste, any of your good deeds." See Hadith number 260 volume 5. Sahih al-Bukhari 1452 reference 24 Hadith 55. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Anas. Abu Bakr wrote to me about the Zakat which Allah had ordered his apostle to observe. Whoever had to pay Jada means a 4-year-old she-camel. as zakat from his herd of camels, and he had not got one, and he had hikah, 3-year-old she-camel, that hikah should be accepted from him along with 2 sheep if they were available, or 20 dirhams. 1 dirham equals about 1/4 Saudi riyal. And whoever had to pay hikah as zakat and he had no hikah but had a jadah, the jadah should be accepted from him, and the zakat collector should repay him 20 dirhams or 2 sheep. And whoever had to pay hikah as zakat and he had not got one, but had a bint Laban, 2-year-old she-camel, it should be accepted from him along with 2 sheep or 20 dirhams. And whoever had to pay bint Laban and had a hikah, that hikah should be accepted from him, and the zakat collector should repay him 20 dirhams or 2 sheep. And whoever had to pay bint Laban and he had not got one but had Sahih al-Bukhari 1453 reference 24 Hadith 56. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat a bint Makad, 1-year-old she-camel. That bint Makad should be accepted from him along with 20 dirhams or 2 sheep. Sahih al-Bukhari 1453 reference 24 Hadith 56. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat narrated Anas. When Abu Bakr sent me to collect the zakat from Bahrain, he wrote to me the following: In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. These are the orders for compulsory charity, zakat, which Allah's Messenger had made obligatory for every Muslim, and which Allah had ordered His Apostle to observe. Whoever amongst the Muslims is asked to pay zakat accordingly, he should pay it to the zakat collector, and whoever is asked more than that, what is specified in this script, he should not pay it. For 24 camels or less, sheep are to be paid as zakat. For every 5 camels 1 sheep is to be paid, and if there are between 25 to 35 camels, 1 bint Makad is to be paid. And if they are between 36 to 45 camels, 1 bint Laban is to be paid. And if they are between 46 to 60 camels, 1 hikah is to be paid. And if the number is between 61 to 75 camels, 1 jadah is to be paid. And if the number Sahih al-Bukhari 1454 reference 24 Hadith 57. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat is between 76 to 90 camels. 2 bint Labans are to be paid. And if they are from 91 to 120 camels, 2 hikahs are to be paid. And if they are over 120 camels, for every 40 over 120, 1 bint Laban is to be paid, and for every 50 camels over 120, 1 hikah is to be paid. And whoever has got only 4 camels has to pay nothing as zakat, but if the owner of these 4 camels wants to give something, he can. If the number of camels increases to 5, the owner has to pay 1 sheep as zakat. As regards the zakat for the flock of sheep, if they are between 40 and 120 sheep, 1 sheep is to be paid. And if they are between 120 to 200 sheep, 2 sheep are to be paid. And if they are between 200 to 300 sheep, 3 sheep are to be paid. And for over 300 sheep, for every extra 100 sheep, 1 sheep is Sahih al-Bukhari 1454 reference 24 Hadith 57. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat to be paid as zakat. And if somebody has got less than 40 sheep, no zakat is required, but if he wants to give, he can. For silver the zakat is 1/40th of the lot. That is 2.5%, and if its value is less than 200 dirhams, zakat is not required, but if the owner wants to pay he can. Sahih al-Bukhari 1454 reference 24 Hadith 57. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat narrated Anas. Abu Bakr wrote to me what Allah had ordered His Apostle about zakat, which goes, Neither an old nor a defected animal, nor a male goat may be taken as zakat except if the zakat collector wishes to take it. Sahih al-Bukhari 1455 reference 24 Hadith 58. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat narrated Abu Huraira. Abu Bakr said, by Allah, if they pay me the zakat and withhold even a young, female, goat which they used to pay during the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, I will fight with them for it. Umar said, it was nothing but Allah who opened Abu Bakr's chest towards the decision to fight, and I came to know that his decision was right. Sahih al-Bukhari 1456, 1457 reference 24 Hadith 59. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat narrated Ibn Abbas. When Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H. sent Mu'ad to Yemen, he said to him, you are going to people of a divine book. First of all invite them to worship Allah alone, and when they come to know Allah, inform them that Allah has enjoined on them 5 prayers in every day and night. And if they start offering these prayers, inform them that Allah has enjoined on them the zakat. And it is to be taken from the rich amongst them and given to the poor amongst them. And if they obey you in that, take zakat from them and don't take, the best property of the people as zakat. Sahih al-Bukhari 1458 reference 24 Hadith 60. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Allah's Messenger said, no zakat is imposed on less than 5 awsaq of dates. No zakat is imposed on less than 5 awaq of silver, and no zakat is imposed on less than 5 camels. Sahih al-Bukhari 1459 reference 24 Hadith 61. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat narrated Abu Dar. Once I went to him, the Prophet, and he said, by Allah in whose hands my life is, or probably said, by Allah, except whom none has the right to be worshipped. Whoever had camels or cows or sheep and did not pay their zakat, those animals will be brought on the day of resurrection far bigger and fatter than before, and they will tread him under their hooves, and will butt him with their horns, and those animals will come in circle. When the last does its turn, the first will start again, and this punishment will go on till Allah has finished the judgments amongst the people. Sahih al-Bukhari 1460 reference 24 Hadith 62. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat narrated Ishaq bin Abdullah bin al-Talha. I heard Anas bin Malik saying, Abu Talha had more property of date palm trees gardens than any other amongst the Ansar in Medina, and the most beloved of them to him was Bayruha garden, and it was in front of the mosque of the Prophet. Allah's Messenger used to go there and used to drink its nice water. Anas added, when these verses were revealed, by no means shall you attain righteousness unless you spend, in charity, of that which you love. 3.92 Abu Talha said to Allah's Messenger, O Allah's Messenger, Allah, the Blessed, the Superior says, by no means shall you attain righteousness, unless you spend, in charity, of that which you love. And no doubt, Bayruha garden is the most beloved of all my property to me. So I want to give it in charity in Allah's cause. I expect its reward from Allah. O Allah's Messenger, spend it where Allah makes you think it feasible. On that Allah's Apostle said, bravo. It is useful property. I have heard what you Sahih al-Bukhari 1461 reference 24 Hadith 63. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, zakat have said, O Abu Talha, and I think it would be proper if you gave it to your kith and kin. Abu Talha said, I will do so, O Allah's Apostle. Then Abu Talha distributed that garden amongst his relatives and his cousins. Sahih al-Bukhari 1461 reference 24 Hadith 63. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. On Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., went out to the Musalla. After finishing the prayer, he delivered the sermon and ordered the people to give alms. He said, O people, give alms. Then he went towards the women and said, O women, give alms, for I have seen that the majority of the dwellers of hellfire were you, women. The women asked, O Allah's Messenger, what is the reason for it? He replied, O women, you curse frequently, and are ungrateful to your husbands. I have not seen anyone more deficient in intelligence and religion than you. O women, some of you can lead a cautious wise man astray. Then he left, and when he reached his house, Zainab, the wife of Ibn Mas'ud, came and asked permission to enter. It was said, O Allah's Messenger, it is Zainab. He asked, which Zainab? The reply was that she was the wife of Ibn Mas'ud. He said, yes, allow her to enter. And she was admitted. Then she said, O Prophet of Allah, today you ordered people. Sahih al-Bukhari 1462 reference 24 Hadith 64. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat to give alms. And I had an ornament and intended to give it as alms, but Ibn Mas'ud said that he and his children deserved it more than anybody else. The Prophet replied, Ibn Mas'ud had spoken the truth. Your husband and your children had more right to it than anybody else. Sahih al-Bukhari 1462 reference 24 Hadith 64. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger said, there is no zakat either on a horse or a slave belonging to a Muslim. Sahih al-Bukhari 1463 reference 24 Hadith 65. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, there is no zakat either on a slave or on a horse belonging to a Muslim. Sahih al-Bukhari 1464 reference 24 Hadith 66. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Once the Prophet sat on a pulpit and we sat around him. Then he said, the things I am afraid of most for your sake, concerning what will befall you after me, is the pleasures and splendors of the world and its beauties which will be disclosed to you. Somebody said, O Allah's Messenger, can the good bring forth evil? The Prophet remained silent for a while. It was said to that person, what is wrong with you? You are talking to the Prophet, P.B. U.H., while he is not talking to you. Then we noticed that he was being inspired divinely. Then the Prophet wiped off his sweat and said, where is the questioner? It seemed as if the Prophet liked his question. Then he said, good never brings forth evil. Indeed, it is like what grows on the banks of a water stream, which either kill or make the animals sick, except if an animal eats its fill, the kadira, a kind of vegetable, and then faces the sun, and then defecates and urinates and grazes again. No doubt this wealth. Sahih al-Bukhari 1465 reference 24 Hadith 67. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat is sweet and green. Blessed is the wealth of a Muslim from which he gives to the poor, the orphans and to needy travelers. Or the Prophet said something similar to it. No doubt, whoever takes it illegally will be like the one who eats but is never satisfied, and his wealth will be a witness against him on the day of resurrection. Sahih al-Bukhari 1465 reference 24 Hadith 67. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Amr bin al-Harith. Zainab, the wife of Abdullah, said, I was in the mosque and saw the Prophet, p. b. u. h, saying, O women, give alms even from your ornaments. Zainab used to provide for Abdullah and those orphans who were under her protection. So she said to Abdullah, Will you ask Allah's Messenger whether it will be sufficient for me to spend part of the zakat on you and the orphans who are under my protection? He replied, Will you yourself ask Allah's Messenger? Zainab added, So I went to the Prophet and I saw there an Ansari woman who was standing at the door of the Prophet with a similar problem as mine. Bilal passed by us and we asked him, Ask the Prophet whether it is permissible for me to spend the zakat on my husband and the orphans under my protection. And we requested Bilal not to inform the Prophet about us. So Bilal went inside and asked the Prophet regarding our problem. The Prophet, p. b. u. h, asked, Who are those two? Bilal replied that she was Zainab. Sahih al-Bukhari 1466 reference 24 Hadith 68. Sahih al-Bukhari, obligatory charity tax, zakat. The Prophet said, Which Zainab? Bilal said, The wife of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. The Prophet said, Yes, it is sufficient for her, and she will receive a double rewards for that, one for helping relatives, and the other for giving zakat. Sahih al-Bukhari 1466 reference 24 Hadith 68. Sahih al-Bukhari, obligatory charity tax, zakat. Narrated Zainab's sad face. The daughter of Salama, my mother said, O Allah's Messenger, shall I receive a reward if I spend for the sustenance of Abu Salama's offspring, and in fact they are also my sons? The Prophet replied, Spend on them and you will get a reward for what you spend on them. Sahih al-Bukhari 1467 reference 24 Hadith 69. Sahih al-Bukhari, obligatory charity tax, zakat. Narrated Abu Huraira, Allah's Messenger, p. b. u. h, ordered a person to collect zakat, and that person returned and told him that Ibn Jamil, Khalid bin al-Walid, and Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib had refused to give zakat. The Prophet said, What made Ibn Jamil refuse to give zakat though he was a poor man, and was made wealthy by Allah and his apostle? But you are unfair in asking zakat from Khalid, as he is keeping his armor for Allah's cause, for jihad. As for Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, he is the uncle of Allah's apostle, p. b. u. h, and zakat is compulsory on him and he should pay it double. Sahih al-Bukhari 1468 reference 24 Hadith 70. Sahih al-Bukhari, obligatory charity tax, zakat. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Some Ansari persons asked for something from Allah's Messenger, p. b. u. h, and he gave them. They again asked him for something, and he again gave them. And then they asked him and he gave them again till all that was with him finished. And then he said, If I had anything, I would not keep it away from you. Remember, whoever abstains from asking others, Allah will make him contented, and whoever tries to make himself self-sufficient, Allah will make him self-sufficient. And whoever remains patient, Allah will make him patient. Nobody can be given a blessing better and greater than patience. Sahih al-Bukhari 1469 reference 24 Hadith 71. Sahih al-Bukhari, obligatory charity tax, zakat. Narrated Abu Huraira, Allah's Messenger said, By him in whose hand my life is, it is better for any one of you to take a rope and cut the wood from the forest, and carry it over his back and sell it, as a means of earning his living, rather than to ask a person for something and that person may give him or not. Sahih al-Bukhari 1470 reference 24 Hadith 72. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat, narrated as Zubair bin al-Awwam. The Prophet, P. B. U. H. said, "It is better for any one of you to take a rope, and cut, and bring a bundle of wood from the forest, over his back and sell it, and Allah will save his face from the hell fire, because of that, rather than to ask the people who may give him or not." Sahih al-Bukhari 1471 reference 24 Hadith 73. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat, narrated Urwa bin az-Zubair and Sa'id bin al-Musayyab. Hakim bin Hizam said, "Once, I asked Allah's Messenger for something, and he gave it to me. Again I asked and he gave it to me. Again I asked and he gave it to me. And then he said, O Hakim, this property is like a sweet fresh fruit. Whoever takes it without greediness, he is blessed in it, and whoever takes it with greediness, he is not blessed in it, and he is like a person who eats but is never satisfied. And the upper, giving, hand is better than the lower, receiving, hand." Hakim added, "I said to Allah's Messenger, by him, Allah, who sent you with the truth, I shall never accept anything from anybody after you, till I leave this world." Then Abu Bakr, during his caliphate, called Hakim to give him his share from the war booty. Like the other companions of the Prophet, he refused to accept anything. Then Umar, during his caliphate, called him to give him his share, but he refused. On that Umar said, "O Muslims, I would like Sahih al-Bukhari 1472 reference 24 Hadith 74. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat, you to witness that I offered Hakim his share from this booty and he refused to take it. So Hakim never took anything from anybody after the Prophet till he died." Sahih al-Bukhari 1472 reference 24 Hadith 74. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat, narrated Umar. Allah's Messenger used to give me something, but I would say to him, "Would you give it to a poorer and more needy one than L?" The Prophet, P. B. U. H. said to me, "Take it. If you are given something from this property, without asking for it or having greed for it, take it, and if not given, do not run for it." Sahih al-Bukhari 1473 reference 24 Hadith 75. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat, narrated Abdullah bin Umar. The Prophet said, "A man keeps on asking others for something till he comes on the day of resurrection without any piece of flesh on his face." The Prophet added, "On the day of resurrection, the sun will come near to the people, to such an extent that the sweat will reach up to the middle of the ears. So, when all the people are in that state, they will ask Adam for help, and then Moses, and then Muhammad, peace be upon him, P. B. U. H. The sub-narrator added, Muhammad, peace be upon him, will intercede with Allah to judge amongst the people. He will proceed on till he will hold the ring of the door of paradise, and then Allah will exalt him to Maqam Mahmud, the privilege of intercession, etc. And all the people of the gathering will send their praises to Allah." Sahih al-Bukhari 1474, 1475 reference 24 Hadith 76. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat, narrated Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, "The poor person is not the one who asks a morsel or two of meals from the others, but the poor is the one who has nothing and is ashamed to beg from others." Sahih al-Bukhari 1476 reference 24 Hadith 77. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat, narrated Ash-Shubai. The clerk of al-Mughira bin Shu'bah narrated, Muawiyah wrote to al-Mughira bin Shu'bah, "Write to me something which you have heard from the Prophet, P. B. U. H. So al-Mughira wrote, I heard the Prophet saying, Allah has hated for you 3 things. -1. Vain talks, useless talk, that you talk too much or about others. -2. Wasting of wealth, by extravagance. -3. And asking too many questions, in disputed religious matters, or asking others for something, except in great need. See Hadith number 591, Volume Il. Sahih al-Bukhari 1477 reference 24 Hadith 78. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Sa'di bin Abi Waqqas. Allah's Messenger distributed something from the resources of Zakat amongst a group of people while I was sitting amongst them, but he left a man whom I considered the best of the lot. So, I went up to Allah's Messenger and asked him secretly, Why have you left that person? By Allah, I consider him a believer. The Prophet said, or merely a Muslim, who surrendered to Allah. I remained quiet for a while but could not help repeating my question because of what I knew about him. I said, O Allah's Apostle, why have you left that person? By Allah, I consider him a believer. The Prophet said, or merely a Muslim. I remained quiet for a while but could not help repeating my question because of what I knew about him. I said, O Allah's Messenger, why have you left that person? By Allah, I consider him a believer. The Prophet said, or merely a Muslim. Then Allah's Messenger, P.B. U.H., said, I give to a person while another is dearer to me, for fear that he may be. Sahih al-Bukhari 1478 reference 24 Hadith 79. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat thrown in the hellfire on his face by reneging from Islam. Sahih al-Bukhari 1478 reference 24 Hadith 79. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. Allah's Messenger said, The poor person is not the one who goes round the people and asks them for a mouthful or two of meals, or a date or two, but the poor is that who has not enough money to satisfy his needs and whose condition is not known to others, that others may give him something in charity, and who does not beg of people. Sahih al-Bukhari 1479 reference 24 Hadith 80. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, No doubt, it is better for a person to take a rope and proceed in the morning to the mountains and cut the wood and then sell it, and eat from this income and give alms from it than to ask others for something. Sahih al-Bukhari 1480 reference 24 Hadith 81. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Humayd as Sa'idi. We took part in the holy battle of Tabuk in the company of the Prophet, and when we arrived at the Wadi al-Qura, there was a woman in her garden. The Prophet asked his companions to estimate the amount of the fruits in the garden, and Allah's Messenger estimated it at 10 awsaq. 1 wasaq equals 60 sas, and 1 saw equals 3 kilogram. Approximately. The Prophet said to that lady, Check what your garden will yield. When we reached Tabuk, the Prophet said, There will be a strong wind tonight, and so no one should stand, and whoever has a camel should fasten it. So we fastened our camels. A strong wind blew at night, and a man stood up, and he was blown away to a mountain called Tai. The king of Aila sent a white mule and a sheep for wearing to the Prophet as a present, and wrote to the Prophet that his people would stay in their place, and will pay jizya taxation. 1. When the Prophet reached Wadi al-Qura, he asked that woman how much her garden had yielded. She said, 10 Sahih al-Bukhari 1481, 1482 reference 24 Hadith 82. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat awsaq, and that was what Allah's Messenger had estimated. Then the Prophet said, I want to reach Medina quickly, and whoever among you wants to accompany me, should hurry up. The sub-narrator Ibn Bakr said something which meant, when the Prophet, P.B.U.H., saw Medina he said, this is Taba. And when he saw the mountain of Uhud, he said, this mountain loves us and we love it. Shall I tell you of the best amongst the Ansar? They replied in the affirmative. He said, the family of Bani and Najjar, and then the family of Bani Sa'ida or Bani al-Harith bin al-Khazraj. The above mentioned are the best, but there is goodness in all the families of Ansar. Sahih al-Bukhari 1481, 1482 reference 24 Hadith 82. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Salim bin Abdullah from his father. The Prophet said, on a land irrigated by rainwater or by natural water channels or if the land is wet due to a nearby water channel ushur, that is 1/10, is compulsory, as Zakat, and on the land irrigated by the well, half of an ushur, that is 1/20, is compulsory, as Zakat on the yield of the land. Sahih al-Bukhari 1483 reference 24 Hadith 83. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. The Prophet said, there is no Zakat on less than 5 awsaq, of dates, or on less than 5 camels, or on less than 5 awaq of silver. Sahih al-Bukhari 1484 reference 24 Hadith 84. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Huraira. Dates used to be brought to Allah's Messenger immediately after being plucked. Different persons would bring their dates till a big heap collected, in front of the Prophet. Once Al-Hasan and Al-Husayn were playing with these dates. One of them took a date and put it in his mouth. Allah's Messenger looked at him and took it out from his mouth and said, don't you know that Muhammad peace be upon him's offspring do not eat what is given in charity? Sahih al-Bukhari 1485 reference 24 Hadith 85. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet had forbidden the sale of dates till they were good, ripe. And when it was asked what it meant, the Prophet said, till there is no danger of blight. Sahih al-Bukhari 1486 reference 24 Hadith 86. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Habir bin Abdullah. The Prophet had forbidden the sale of fruits till they were ripe, free from blight. Sahih al-Bukhari 1487 reference 24 Hadith 87. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Anas bin Malik. Allah's Messenger forbade the selling of fruits until they were ripe. The Prophet, P.B.U.H., added, it means that they become red. Sahih al-Bukhari 1488 reference 24 Hadith 88. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abdullah bin Umar. Umar bin al-Khattab gave a horse in charity in Allah's cause and later he saw it being sold in the market and intended to purchase it. Then he went to the Prophet and asked his permission. The Prophet said, do not take back what you have given in charity. For this reason, Ibn Umar never purchased the things which he had given in charity, and in case he had purchased something, unknowingly, he would give it in charity again. Sahih al-Bukhari 1489 reference 24 Hadith 89. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Umar. Once I gave a horse in Allah's cause, in charity, but that person did not take care of it. I intended to buy it, as I thought he would sell it at a low price. So, I asked the Prophet, P.B.U.H., about it. He said, "Neither buy, nor take back your alms which you have given, even if the seller were willing to sell it for 1 dirham, for he who takes back his alms is like the one who swallows his own vomit." Sahih al-Bukhari 1490 Reference 24 Hadith 90. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. Al-Hasan bin Ali took a date from the dates given in charity and put it in his mouth. The Prophet said, "Expel it from your mouth. Don't you know that we do not eat a thing which is given in charity?" Sahih al-Bukhari 1491 Reference 24 Hadith 91. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet saw a dead sheep which had been given in charity to a freed slave girl of Maimuna, the wife of the Prophet. The Prophet said, "Why don't you get the benefit of its hide?" They said, "It is dead." He replied, "Only to eat, its meat, is illegal." Sahih al-Bukhari 1492 Reference 24 Hadith 92. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Al-Aswad. Aisha intended to buy Barira, a slave girl. In order to manumit her, and her masters intended to put the condition that her al-wala would be for them. Aisha mentioned that to the Prophet, who said to her, "Buy her, as the wala is for the manumitted." Once some meat was presented to the Prophet and Aisha said to him, "This meat was given in charity to Barira." He said, "It is an object of charity for Barira but a gift for us." Sahih al-Bukhari 1493 Reference 24 Hadith 93. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Atiyah al-Ansariya. The Prophet went to Aisha and asked her whether she had something to eat. She replied that she had nothing except the mutton, piece, which Nasaiba, Atiyah, had sent to us, Barira, in charity. The Prophet said, "It has reached its place and now it is not a thing of charity but a gift for us." Sahih al-Bukhari 1494 Reference 24 Hadith 94. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Anas. Some meat was presented to the Prophet, p.b. U.H., and it had been given to Barira, the freed slave girl of Aisha, in charity. He said, "This meat is a thing of charity for Barira but it is a gift for us." Sahih al-Bukhari 1495 Reference 24 Hadith 95. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Ma'bad Sad Face, the slave of Ibn Abbas. Allah's Messenger said to Mu'ad when he sent him to Yemen, "You will go to the people of the Scripture. So, when you reach there, invite them to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that Muhammad peace be upon him is his apostle. And if they obey you in that, tell them that Allah has enjoined on them 5 prayers in each day and night. And if they obey you in that, tell them that Allah has made it obligatory on them to pay the zakat which will be taken from the rich among them and given to the poor among them. If they obey you in that, then avoid taking the best of their possessions, and be afraid of the curse of an oppressed person, because there is no screen between his invocation and Allah." Sahih al-Bukhari 1496 Reference 24 Hadith 96. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abdullah bin Abu Alfa. Whenever a person came to the Prophet with his alms, the Prophet would say, "O Allah, send your blessings upon so and so." My father went to the Prophet with his alms and the Prophet said, "O Allah, send your blessings upon the offspring of Abu Alfa." Sahih al-Bukhari 1497 Reference 24 Hadith 97. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, A man from Bani Israel asked someone from Bani Israel to give him a loan of 1,000 dinars, and the latter gave it to him. The debtor went on a voyage, when the time for the payment of the debt became due, but he did not find a boat, so he took a piece of wood and bored it and put 1,000 dinars in it and threw it into the sea. The creditor went out and took the piece of wood to his family to be used as firewood. See Hadith number 488b, Volume 3. And the Prophet narrated the narration, and said, when he sawed the wood, he found his money. Sahih al-Bukhari 1498 reference 24 Hadith 98. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Abu Huraira. Allah's Messenger said, there is no compensation for one killed or wounded by an animal or by falling in a well, or because of working in mines. But Qumus is compulsory on rikas. Sahih al-Bukhari 1499 reference 24 Hadith 99. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Abu Humayd al-Sa'idi. Allah's Messenger, P. B. U. H. appointed a man called Ibn al-Lutbiyah, from the tribe of al-Asd to collect zakat from Bani Sulaim. When he returned, after collecting the zakat, the Prophet checked the account with him. Sahih al-Bukhari 1500 reference 24 Hadith 100. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Anas. Some people from Uraina tribe came to Medina and its climate did not suit them, so Allah's Messenger, P. B. U. H. allowed them to go to the herd of camels, given as zakat, and they drank their milk and urine, as medicine, but they killed the shepherd and drove away all the camels. So Allah's Messenger sent men in their pursuit to catch them, and they were brought, and he had their hands and feet cut, and their eyes were branded with heated pieces of iron, and they were left in the Hara, a stony place at Medina, biting the stones. See Hadith number 234, Volume 1, Sahih al-Bukhari 1501 reference 24 Hadith 101. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Anas bin Malik. I took Abdullah bin Abu Talha to Allah's Messenger to perform tonic for him. Tonic was a custom among the Muslims that whenever a child was born they used to take it to the Prophet, who would chew a piece of date and put a part of its juice in the child's mouth. I saw the Prophet, and he had an instrument for branding in his hands and was branding the camels of zakat. Sahih al-Bukhari 1502 reference 24 Hadith 102. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger enjoined the payment of 1 saw of dates or 1 saw of barley as zakat al-fitr on every Muslim slave or free, male or female, young or old, and he ordered that it be paid before the people went out to offer the Eid prayer. 1 saw equals 3 kilograms approximately. Sahih al-Bukhari 1503 reference 24 Hadith 103. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger made it incumbent on all the slave or free Muslims, male or female, to pay 1 saw of dates or barley as zakat al-fitr. Sahih al-Bukhari 1504 reference 24 Hadith 104. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id. We used to give 1 saw of barley as sadaqat al-fitr, per head. Sahih al-Bukhari 1505 reference 24 Hadith 105. Sahih al-Bukhari, Obligatory Charity Tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. We used to give 1 saw of meal or 1 saw of barley or 1 saw of dates, or 1 saw of cottage cheese or 1 saw of raisins, dried grapes, as zakat al-fitr. Sahih al-Bukhari 1506 reference 24 Hadith 106. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abdullah bin Umar. The Prophet ordered Muslims to give 1 saw of dates or 1 saw of barley as Zakat al-Fitr. The people rewarded 2 muds of wheat as equal to that. Sahih al-Bukhari 1507 reference 24 Hadith 107. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. In the lifetime of the Prophet we used to give 1 saw of food or 1 saw of dates or 1 saw of barley or 1 saw of raisins, dried grapes, as Sadaqat al-Fitr. And when Muawiyah became the caliph and the wheat was available in abundance, he said, I think, observe, that 1 mud of wheat equals 2 muds of any of the above mentioned things. Sahih al-Bukhari 1508 reference 24 Hadith 108. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Umar. The Prophet ordered the people to pay Zakat al-Fitr before going to the Eid prayer. Sahih al-Bukhari 1509 reference 24 Hadith 109. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. In the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, we used to give 1 saw of food, edible things, as Sadaqat al-Fitr, to the poor. Our food used to be either of barley, raisins, dried grapes, cottage cheese or dates. Sahih al-Bukhari 1510 reference 24 Hadith 110. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Nafi. Ibn Umar said, the Prophet made incumbent on every male or female, free man or slave, the payment of 1 saw of dates or barley as Sadaqat al-Fitr, or said Sadaqah Ramadan. The people then substituted half saw of wheat for that. Ibn Umar used to give dates as Sadaqat al-Fitr. Once there was scarcity of dates in Medina and Ibn Umar gave barley. And Ibn Umar used to give Sadaqat al-Fitr for every young and old person. He even used to give on behalf of my children. Ibn Umar used to give Sadaqat al-Fitr to those who had been officially appointed for its collection. People used to give Sadaqat al-Fitr, even a day or 2 before the Eid. Sahih al-Bukhari 1511 reference 24 Hadith 111. Sahih al-Bukhari. Obligatory charity tax, Zakat narrated Ibn Umar. Allah's Messenger has made Sadaqat al-Fitr obligatory, and it was either 1 saw of barley or 1 saw of dates, and its payment was obligatory on young and old people, and on free men as well as on slaves. Sahih al-Bukhari 1512 reference 24 Hadith 112.